Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday there were a lot of good games throughout the night and we picked two of those. We changed a bit our approach and we tried to find the good value from the home favorites. Unfortunately this time it wasn't any kind of great selection because Montreal beat Toronto 3-1 after their last period push. Toronto was leading most of the game and at the beginning dominated basically the game but couldn't score enough, and then Montreal collected the fruit at the end. Then Detroit played a second game in Nashville. Home team was quite miserable throughout the game. Detroit played much better and deserved the victory that they got yesterday. End result in Nashville was 4-2. Tommy, any comments on these two games?
Yeah, a lot of comments, of course. Like we've established, we don't do well in the third period, so that's what happened in Toronto. The home team couldn't kill the game off in the first two periods, and then, of course, in the end, it was Montreal who took the spoils, and it was only 1-2, so they couldn't score in the empty net either. So as close as it can get in the regular time, but this time it turned against us once again. So. Like I've said before, these sort of picks, still I think this was a good pick. Toronto should have won this game. Probably gonna win the next one then, but we're not gonna pick that one. So let's see how it goes. But Toronto was a bit better team. Of course, very good win for Montreal as underdogs, going to Toronto after a couple of quite difficult games for them. So hats off to Montreal team that they were able to bounce back against this really strong Toronto offense. So only one goal scored by the Maple Leafs is always a show that the opponents are doing something correct. So a good game from Montreal in that regard. Bad pick from us. And then Nashville, Detroit, something that we thought was gonna be an absolute blowout by the Nashville Predators, who have been struggling a bit, but it was a really bad effort from them, both defensively and especially offensively. They couldn't produce anything. They barely got any chances against this Detroit team that is not that competitive this season. So huge disappointment for Nashville. I think John Hines has a lot of work to do there to get his offense going. The defense should be better. They should be able to base their game in the solid defense, but they're not even able to do that now. So a bad stretch for Nashville, and they are sinking in the bottom of their division. So it should be very soon that they turn the tide, or they will miss out on the playoff train.
Yeah, I think Detroit, that is not the best team in the league, outshot Nashville in first two periods, something like 20-6 or 20-8. And Nashville goaltending, when Rinne was playing two first periods, wasn't great all the time. He made some spectacular saves, but I think first and third goals by Detroit, those were quite easy backhanders from the Detroit offense to the net, and generally I think like you said, Nashville has a lot to improve now, but we had a few good goaltending cases that we discussed yesterday. Our boy Kevin Lankinen again showed that he's the man in Chicago and saved victory in a tight game against Columbus.
Yeah, this was the sort of game that we speculated is going to be exactly as it went. So sometimes we are correct as well, not in the picks, but in this case it was a very close affair again, like we were expecting previously with Chicago and Columbus. Very similar sort of teams through the defense, great goaltending, and of course now we had about 60% of the simulations showing Chicago winning this game. So very good victory in that regard as well for us.
Any other games that went our way in simulations last night?
Yeah, we did actually get, which I missed previously, was the Vancouver game against Calgary, where the visitors were heavy favorites by the bookmakers. It was about 56% for Calgary, and Vancouver won that game 3-1, and we did have underdog home win there for 47%. So nice odds from there as well, plus 124 Vancouver Canucks. A good win for them as well. They've been struggling a lot, so great way to start their homestand now.
And I think New York Islanders also played something to our pocket by winning Boston 4-2.
Yeah, it was another game we mentioned yesterday that Boston has to lose at some point. They've been getting these late victories as of late, but now against Barry Trotz and Islanders, it was the time for Boston to lose. So there was a great value as well, plus 120 odds for the home team. So good pick there from the system. Too bad we didn't have the guts to select that in our listing.
Yeah, and I think that game was quite one-way street. The Islanders outshot Boston 42-30, and they were more or less leading the way, even though the game was 2-2 until third period.
Yeah, it was very Boston Islanders kind of game from both teams, that Boston was able to hang in there, and it looked like they might actually turn the game in the end, but it was Islanders this time, and a very good matchup. These games will be very interesting as well. Islanders fighting for their chance to get to the playoffs, and of course then everything is open, and Boston then these heavy favorites all the time. So so very interesting pairing, and close games expected in the future as well.
Any comments from any other games that were played last night? There were some, let's say, expected results, like big favorite Tampa beat Florida 6-1, and then St. Louis took another victory in a row at Arizona after losing multiple games at home. So how do you see these games?
Yeah, Tampa did what was expected. They had their bounce back revenge from the loss to Florida earlier, which was quite a bad game from them. So now 1-6, a clear win, and this is the real difference between the teams. Might be around this level. So Tampa at their best are probably the best team in the league at the moment. Of course, reigning champions, not much changed from last season. So when they get their game going, when they have the motivation and the willingness to actually push through, they will be able to win any team in this league. And of course, Florida then a little bit of the challenger type team. Of course, a little bit disappointing after the win to succumb to 1-6. But this is hockey, so this is what happens. And then in Arizona, the St. Louis pairing, it was quite expected that it's going to even out, as Arizona was able to pull the rabbit out of their hat in St. Louis. But now the tables turned a bit, and St. Louis has been able to score goals, which they weren't able to do at home. So it's getting better for the Blues as well. Of course, we did have here Arizona as favorites to win, so it was an off bet from us. And one more game just to notice, the Winnipeg playing Ottawa. Ottawa we've been bashing quite a lot this season. I think for a good reason, but now they showed their relentlessness against Winnipeg team that was really disjointed in this game, and they really couldn't get anything going. Of course, now Pierre-Luc Dubois was out due to some injury concerns, but still Winnipeg was very disappointing at home. Offensively couldn't get anything going. Defensively then lacked a little bit of this, especially with the puck. They were really lousy. They turned over the puck a lot. And Ottawa, young team, very hungry for victory. So they showed that they can actually take the wins from these a little bit better teams as well. So in NHL, there are no easy games, and it was a really good reminder for Winnipeg Jets that that's the case, and also that you have to play the 60 minutes and after if it's even. So they lost the game in the final minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think a bit similar game, but higher quality was in San Jose when Vegas was visiting their home team. Was driving the game pretty much all the time, but Vegas as a stronger team stayed awake and ensure that they will take 2 points with quite strong power play performance. 3 power play scores for Vegas, and they won the game 3-1.
Yeah, it was a good win for Vegas in that regard. They were quite overplayed by San Jose, so San Jose had a lot better chances, and they should have been able to beat Marc-Andre Fleury a little bit more than once. But like you said, Vegas is a very good team, and when they get their chances, they usually are getting done. But again, 5 against 5, Vegas maybe not that good. They've had their issues throughout a couple of seasons now, scoring goals. So it's something to keep in mind. Against a better team, they might have some issues in scoring. Of course, now power play, brilliant, and they scored 3 goals to capture the victory by the power play. But 5 against 5, a little bit worrying at the moment for Vegas.
And that is something that we are relying on in our next picks. Vegas continues to play tonight, actually 4 p.m. They face Colorado at home, so they have traveled last night from San Jose to Vegas, and Colorado hasn't played in last, I think, 10 days or so, a single game. So our pick is Colorado plus 116, good odds there available. 2 heavyweights of West. I think these are two clear favorites to go all the way to the Stanley Cup from the west side of the bracket. And then early game, Washington visits Pittsburgh. Tight game expected, but Washington has plus 120 odds, so good value there based on our simulation.
Yeah, both teams, both picks, great value in the odds. We have both of these teams, Colorado and Washington, winning about 54% of the simulations, while the odds, like you saw, were around 120. So really good value there. In Vegas, of course, Knights played last night, so they are a bit off. Colorado has been playing last time on the 2nd of February, so yeah, more than 10 days. Vegas has played 5 games since Colorado has been off, so there must be some fatigue comparatively to the Vegas team. Colorado is missing Nathan McKinnon. Maybe he was speculated to be back. Not certain yet. It's a big loss if he's not playing. And of course, we don't know how this COVID situation might affect the players, might affect the teams. But what we've seen so far this season, the teams that have had these couple of days off have been coming back really, really strong. So might be something that Colorado now has a lot of energy in this game, and Vegas, on the other hand, probably a little bit fatigued from last night and from the previous games. They've played every other day for the past week or so. Of course, the game very 50-50 in every case, all the aspects of the game very even. But when you get these sort of plus 120 odds, that's a no-brainer to take the Vegas. And in Pittsburgh, a little bit similar situation. Both teams quite even. There is no big difference between these two. Capitals maybe a little bit deeper down the line, a little bit better defense. Penguins then, of course, have the top players performing pretty well. Last time it was an overtime game, actually all the way to the shootout, and previously in the overtime. So 2 games now in Pittsburgh, Washington in Pittsburgh, both games to the overtime. Both games Penguins have won, so now it's the Capitals' turn to take the W after a close game. But both of these games, I would predict myself that both of these games might be overtime bound, and then it's a coin flip. But odds of 120 for a coin flip is always something we are going to take.
Yeah, and I think both of these games should fall the category that maybe you could consider no bets overtime / shootout. So if it's a draw after regular time, then the bet is void, so you are not ending up losing game in a coin flip when you can at least take your money back after the tie at regular season. And also here would be good to check the cash out possibilities. So if your team is leading, let's say 5 minutes before end of the game, and you can cash out your bets, it might be wise to do it, because these strong teams like let's say Boston, Vegas, they could come back and last minute score 1 to 2 goals and turn the table other way around.
Yeah, smart betting is always worth doing. So follow up the game if you can, and of course react to the lines and also the goaltending changes and all these sort of things. So you have to take into consideration many things before going for it.
Yeah, and tomorrow we'll see what kind of cap there will be in our heads.
Yeah, I hope we're going to continue with Colorado.
Yeah, me too.